Hey, my name is Patrick O'Driscoll. I'm the co-founder and CEO at TVG, where we scale 7- and 8-figure e-commerce brands. And in this video, I'm going to break down creative infrastructure. The reason why most brands can't scale their ads is not because of a marketing issue, it's because they don't have systems in place to scale creative. So I'm going to talk about the pipeline for sustainable scale in your creative process. So the real problem isn't a lack of ideas, it's a lack of systems. Your creative workflow is likely a bottleneck, not a growth driver. It's characterized by inconsistent output. Creative comes in waves, not a predictable flow. Rising marginal costs, each new ad costs roughly the same to produce, making volume expensive, and then slow signal extraction. You know it worked last month, but you don't have a system to tell you why it worked. And so the anatomy of a world-class creative engine is one, a production engine, so the system of generating high volume of diverse creative assets at a low marginal cost, a testing framework, so rigorous methodology for validating creative performance and finding winning concepts, and the intelligence layer, how to get a feedback loop from your creative to your media buying, or media buying to your creative, right? The back and forth. Your media buying team must understand the data and then be able to communicate that to the creative team, and the creative team must be able to create new assets based upon what's happening in the ad account. This is the biggest thing that I think brands struggle with, is like they have really good creative people and they have really good media buying people, but they have no system to tie it all together. And that's really the big unlock that we've seen over the last year, generating over $100 million of e-commerce sales. So building your content assembly line. Operationalizing creative production can enhance predictability and cost effectiveness. And this is how we do it. Modular content strategy. Create components like hooks, body sections, and CTAs separately to generate numerous ad variations from one shoot, right? You have to create a system. We are still big on, for in this post-Andromeda era, as much net new diverse content, but still make sure that you're able to, when you have shoots, when you have content, when you use UGC creators, when you do a content shoot, they're thinking in hooks, bodies, and CTAs. Systematize creator pipelines. So you have to establish a continuous flow of authentic content by building a pipeline of creators with defined briefs and deliverables. I've talked to so many brands over the last month. One brand that really stuck out to me is that they have a really strong relationship with, like, they've built out their little creator network of like 10 to 20 creators that are exactly their ICPs. I think they're actual customers, which is even a bonus point. Like, if you can actually get real customers to create content for you, or if you're engaging UGC creators, or if you have influencers, right? You have to have that like 10 to 20 people that you're just can rely on for content. Really important. Get that creator network built out for your brand. Centralized asset library. So, okay, you have all this stuff going on. You have to maintain a strategic database of creative assets organized by various criteria rather than just a standard folder. Most brands just have like a huge tangled mess of a Google Drive. Make sure we have like things tracked and we understand what each creative asset is for. So from guessing to knowing. To de-risk your creative budget and quickly identify successful strategies, consider the following. Angle versus execution testing. First, test core marketing angles, okay? This is very important, especially if you don't really know what message or angle really works. You want to start from the top. What are those main marketing angles that we can communicate for our brand? And do that with like low-cost creatives. So like a great way to do that is like statics and graphics. Like, how can we test messaging first and then create tons of graphics and stills, and then from the findings on that, then create video content based upon that, instead of doing these whole video production shoot and then realizing that 90% of your ads are just total losers because your angles and messaging was off. Creative velocity threshold. Establish metrics for creative rotation, such as replacing creatives with CPA increases by 20% in 7 days, right? You have to have rules with your media buying team to understand, okay, when are we killing things? And then make sure that you're not like scrambling last minute to create that new content and creative in the ad account. Super important. Want to make sure that there's just a constant flow of net new content being up and tested. Isolate your variables. Test one variable at a time to maintain a disciplined testing structure and gain clear insights. So building your creative flywheel. So when we go about running ads or building out content or creative pipelines and strategies for the brands that we engage with, creative tagging. So making sure that we tag the creative, we know what each creative is, make sure we understand like the message and use proper naming conventions to track this creative in its life cycle. Performance pattern recognition. Analyze the data to identify successful correlations such as effective hooks and formats. Look at the ads manager, look at hook rate, look at click-through rate, look at obviously cost per acquisition to understand what ads are actually good performers. Creative insights loop. So transform those insights. Once we have the media buying insights, how do we take that over to the creative team to create net new briefs, feeding directly into a production for a self-improving system? The media buying team has to communicate with the creative team. Creative team needs to be creating net new assets so that it keeps up with the media buying and the scaling of the ad team. All right, understanding the true economics of creative. So you have cost per creative, which is understanding like how much does it actually cost you to produce a net new creative. This is very common with like brands that are quite large. You might have high production content, influencer content, UGC. You have like all these different types of content. You want to understand, okay, how much does it cost you to create net new content? Because it is a very expensive cost, especially at scale. So it's a fully loaded cost to produce one creative asset. Estimate industry standard $50 to $200 per asset at scale per unique asset. So you could probably do a shoot with a creator that costs $1,000, and because you use bodies, CTAs, hooks, and everything, you can stitch it together and get like 20 assets out of that, right? So that means like the cost of that asset was like $50. Creative lifespan, average number of days of creative performance before it fatigues, ideally like 14 to 30 days for winners, sometimes faster, sometimes longer, depends on how much we're spending. Win rate, percentage of net new creatives that become scalable winners, 10 to 20% is world-class, even like 3 to 5%, 8% is kind of realistic. 10 to 20% is like, you're hitting it, right? Every 10 to 20% of net new creatives that you produce are winning. That's really solid. Creative refresh rate, number of net new concepts introduced per week. Usually like, it depends on spend. Again, it really depends on spend. 6 to 10 concepts per week, maybe on the lower side, 3 to 5 with some of our brands that we engage with that might be working with smaller spends, like it might be even less than that. Again, concepts and then different variations of this creative. I know it's very confusing. You have variations, concepts, stuff like that. But you want to make sure you have a consistent flow every single week. So building your creative flywheel, this is the brain of your creative engine. It's what creates compounding returns on your creative investment. So creative tagging, performance pattern recognition, the creative insights loop. So being able to detect these things, we use plenty of platforms to track these, like Atria. We have like Motion, stuff like that, different tools you can use to like automate this and track things using a software, which I definitely recommend. And really just the main thing we want to emphasize here and where brands go wrong is that they have no communication between the media buying team and the creative team. And then they kind of just scramble last minute. Okay, ad performance is down. Oh my God, we need new creatives. You should be able to like constantly be ahead of the game and constantly be iterating. So you never run into that place where you're like, I need new creatives yesterday. That's what we try to avoid with our brands. How to structure your creative testing. So like hook type, start with like really the hook. Is it problem oriented, solution oriented, curiosity driven, social proof, unboxing, testimonial? What's the actual type of creative that we're producing? What's the format? Static image, short video, long form video, carousel, UGC. What does that actually look like? Angle, speed, ease. What's the angle that we're communicating in the ad? Persona, who's featured in the ad? Could be what race of the person, which demographic, male, female, mom, professional, athlete, founder. With Andromeda, the more variation, the more diversity, not like diversity and like the race diversity, but just general diversity. Like diversity, you could have a middle-aged woman, a younger male, like depends on the products, of course, you're selling, but just the more diversity of creative that we're pushing, the better. And so this allows you to say, okay, once we track all these things, okay, problem-oriented hooks with UGC format targeting the mom persona have a 3x higher conversion rate than studio content. Like we want to, once we create all these assets, what is actually converting the best? And then we can use that insights to go create net new concepts, following the winning strategy here. So your next step is from projects to process. Ask yourself this critical question. Is our creative workflow a series of one-off projects, or is it a predictable, scalable production line? Your first step is to map out your current process from idea to live ad. You want to map this, like understand, okay, this probably starts with messaging, scripting out. I recommend for a lot of brands to have like a foundational copy sheet, which is just like a master Google Doc of like all the unique selling props about your products. And then from there, you can create different angles, messaging, different hooks. Then that goes into briefing. Then that goes into execution of the content, whether it's UGC, graphic design, high production video. Track that whole process for each type of content. Identify the bottleneck and focus on systemizing that one component first. This is how you begin building a true creative engine. Most brands don't have systems in place. It's just kind of like, oh, we need a shoot, or oh, let's engage this UGC creator. There has to be a process in place, and that's exactly what we do at TVG, and we produce thousands of creators per month creatives per month at this point, and so we really have to systemize this for all the brands that we work with. So here's some FAQs on creative. How do I get enough UGC? Systematize it, run a contest, offer a small gift card for video reviews, or use a service that connects you with creators. You can reach out to influencers, reach out to creators. You just want to have that database, start to build that database of creators. You can also include a request for UGC in your post-purchase email flow, right? I always love it. If there's an opportunity to actually get real customers, that's the most authentic content. And sometimes too, like, you might not want to fully script these things. We like content that is authentic, that is just like a true unboxing, true opening, true reactions. People can sense the authenticity, so that's really important. And in this era of AI and AI UGC and all this stuff, I think real customer testimonials just absolutely crush. What if I don't have a big budget for shoots? You don't need one. Your iPhone is a powerful tool. Shoot modular content, 5 to 10 different hooks, 3 to 4 different body CTAs, 2 to 3 CTAs. You can edit these together into dozens of unique ad variations without Hollywood budgets. Most brands can get away with iPhone style content and solid graphic design, especially like for the first $100,000 a month in spend. You can really get away with these things. At scale, you might want to introduce some more, I guess, professional shoots. Actually get a videographer, do the whole nine. How do I know when a creative is fatigued? The data will tell you. Look for declining click-through rate and a rising frequency. That means your ads being seen multiple times by the same person. That typically leads to fatigue. Obviously, if your cost per acquisition increase and over a 7 to 14 day period, don't wait for it to stop working completely. Swap it out as soon as you see performance begin to degrade. And I wouldn't even say swap it out necessarily. Let that ride, but just have new ad tests ready to take over that performance, right? You want to find new winners so you can kind of stay on that trajectory of scale. What's the most important part of the ad? The hook, the body, or the CTA? It's the hook. Everyone should know this at this point, but that you have less than 3 seconds to stop the scroll, probably even less. So if you can have a visual hook, so like what a visual hook to loop people in, an audio hook, right? There's many ways to have a hook. But if your hook fails, the rest of the ad doesn't matter. Focus 80% of your energy on testing new hooks. How many new creatives should I aim for each week? It largely depends on budget. Start with a manageable number, like 3 to 5 new concepts, and then scale that up. A concept is a new angle or idea. From these 3 to 5 concepts, you can create many different variations. The goal is to build the muscle of weekly creative iteration. So start small and then start to ramp that up, especially as spend scales. So hopefully this gives you a better idea and the importance of systematizing your creative process. This is the biggest thing. This is what holds brands back from scaling. It's not like a marketing issue. It really is a systems issue. They just don't have the creative systems in place to find net new concepts, net new ads to test in the ad account. So if you're building this in-house, make sure you have this ironed out. If you'd like to book a call with me personally, take a look at your creative flow. This is what we actually do for 7 to 8 figure brands. We have UGC creators, we have content capabilities, we do all the creative for e-commerce brands. You can book a call with me down below, but at the very least, if you've enjoyed this training, then click the like button and subscribe as I put out new e-commerce trainings every single week. And I hope to see you in the next one.